parents to let their principals know that this teacher is making an impact on my student's life. Not just the negative things, but the positive ones.
And now.
Aye, aye. I'm the captain now.
Coming to you from the K2 studios in San Diego, California.
This sounds great. You sound amazing.
I always sound amazing.
It's the world famous
Everybody's hitting off like BFFs.
Chris and Kristine Show.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? How are you guys doing today? It's so great to be back here, and I am Chris.
And I'm Kristine, and welcome to episode 117 of the Chris and Kristine Show. Do-do-do-do.
Fantastic. Look at you, baby doll. You're back in the studio.
I am back in the studio.
Back
I am
home?
not a hologram.
Oh, like last week, we had a hologram Kristine sitting next to me.
It was a distance podcast last week. It was a socially distanced podcast.
I know. You had
or
to get
a geographically distanced podcast.
both. You
Yeah.
actually had to get super far away from me, 650 miles away from me. You just couldn't stand me that much.
Oh, that's so mean. I would not say that. I
I know,
was
I'm just-
busy working away, goofball.
I know you were, babe, but it's so fantastic. I love being in love with you, and I love having you in the house.
I'm glad you love being in love with me. What's gotten into you? Is it just because it's like almost Valentine's Day? Or
Baby, as this thing gets released, it's going to be Valentine's Day. You know what
well,
I'm saying?
kind of. I mean, like we're gonna release it like tomorrow morning. Valentine's Day isn't for one more day after that.
Hey, people listen when they listen. You know what I'm saying? But
That's true.
It's Valentine's Day week. It is the week of love.
And the week of football, which I guess applies to both the women and the men. I think that it was like a ploy by the president to like uproot all, homes and all happiness in all homes by letting the Super Bowl and Valentine's Day overlap, because no man on the face of the planet that likes football is going to put any thought into Valentine's Day.
Wait, there's another holiday after football?
Uh-huh.
Oh, no
So,
way.
hey, honey, have you put any thought into Valentine's Day?
I have thought of it, yes.
Have you put thought into it, though?
I have thought of Valentine's Day. That is correct. I've seen it on the calendar. Yes, I am aware that there is a holiday in February, middle of February, to be
Yes.
exact. And
But what is your quote whenever I say, hey, honey, are we doing anything for Valentine's Day? How do you respond?
baby, I like to show my love all year round.
No, you normally say something before that.
I don't want anyone to tell me how to love you.
Yes, exactly.
No
and
one
then
tells
you say,
me that.
And then you say, I love you every day. I'm like, okay. You know what? This year, like we've been doing so many different things and I have to travel actually on Valentine's night.
What?
Hey, don't do this. Don't do this. You know that I'm traveling Valentine's
Sad
night.
tears.
Yeah. So for us, we were just like, it's okay. Like we don't have to have a specific way of celebrating on Valentine's Day to know that we love each other. We love each other all the time. And being able to go out to dinner for Valentine's Day doesn't make that any different, right?
Well, I had these big plans Valentine's
No,
Day.
you didn't.
I know. Well, hey, I just saying I did, just like say I did,
So
maybe.
then it makes me feel like, oh, well, I screwed it up. But I know the truth is you didn't. You never planned anything.
I wonder if Valentine's Day was invented to help remind guys to like say, hey,
I love you.
I love your spouse or your girlfriend, and maybe take her out to dinner or something.
Are men that clueless?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think so. Especially right after the football game that's going on Sunday, the big Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny. I think during the Super Bowl, do they still do the Puppy Bowl? Do you know if they still do that?
I don't know, but I love watching the Puppy Bowl.
Is it like during the halftime show?
Can I have Clover do a Puppy Bowl
She
here at
totally
home?
could do it.
Maybe Clover and Pumpkin can like war against each other.
Pumpkin is a little like she's a turtle and she's a tortoise, and she's small and slow because she's a turtle after all. But that Clover, my goodness, she's running around the entire house.
Yeah.
Catch me if you can, and running
What
around
if
the
we
yard.
strapped Pumpkin onto Clover's back? How do you think that would go?
Well, you kind of remind me of like the scariest roller coaster you can think of. That's basically what it is for a poor little pumpkin.
Yeah,
Pumpkin pie.
we would never do that. But back to I almost said back to Thanksgiving. Back to Valentine's
I forgot
Day.
what holiday we're going into. Merry Christmas and Happy 4th of July.
I did get you a card though, and it's really funny.
You did?
I did. I'm not going to give it to you until Valentine's Day, but I got you a little card.
Hey, speaking of cards, I picked out Valentine's Day cards for Mason to take to school because he's in school. They do the thing where they pass the cards out to all their kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's funny? They're not allowed to write the name of the kid they're giving the card to, they have to put their own name on the card, like who it's from.
Yeah,
But
they just give them, because then otherwise they have to go through all of the sorting process. And so it's easier to just say,
Well, I remember back in
from
my day.
Mason.
I remember back in my day, you actually got to like put a person's name, and you have like the cool card for whoever your crush was. You put like you gave them the special card, but you don't want to tell them that it was.
wait,
like,
how do you know about this, that Mason can't write the name on it? Have you been doing this with him, or did you send it to the other house for him to do?
So I asked the other household about the stuff because she was going to take the cards over to school for Mason to pass out on Friday, which was yesterday, as we record this. And so I had to buy the cards, and I'm like, well, I don't know where to find cards at, and I'm busy working, so I don't have time to go to the store and all this. I'll go on Amazon. So I went on Amazon, and I'm like, how many cards do I need? And she said, there's 30 kids in the class. Great. Unfortunately, they only sell the packs by packs of 24.
Which makes no sense. I don't know very many classrooms in elementary school nationwide that are 24 or less kids.
Really? So here's what I had to do. I found two, which I thought were kind of cool, kind of a boy's perspective Valentine's Day card. It wasn't the generic like, hey, happy Valentine's Day, I heart you or whatever. So I got about two different packs. And the packs were, one was this cute little detective pack, I guess. Both the cards were like interactive, which I thought was kind of cool. The first set, it was like this detective thing where, like, I guess you open a card up, you scratch off like a lottery ticket.
Like a lottery ticket,
Yeah,
yeah.
you totally scratch off the surprise, like check out this little code. It's like an interactive thing or something.
Right.
And the second set, speaking of being funny, was a total joke card. It was like kid jokes, like you like, what did the heart say to the other heart or something?
Right.
I don't know. And you scratch it off and get to see the answer.
Oh, that's cool.
So I got them both of those. I don't know what
You put so much thought into that. That makes me wonder how wonderful the card is that I'm going to be getting on Valentine's Day. Oh, wait. You haven't thought of doing that.
I have thought of it.
Yes, but you haven't acted on
I'm going
it.
to ask the other household if they got any more of those Valentine's Day left over, the cards they got from Mason. You want the joke one or you want the detective one? Which one do you want?
That's mean.
It's not mean. It's cute.
Let me get a leftover Valentine from my kid's classroom, because that's the only kind of love that I give you is leftovers.
Oh, well, babe, it's so great.
You
to have
don't like
back.
to eat leftovers, so why would you give me leftover love? That's going to be the name.
It's not leftover love.
That's like the name of a new book. It's like, stop accepting leftovers or breadcrumbs. Yeah, leftovers for love. No. I have a bigger appetite than having leftovers. So
my heart is full of love for you.
Okay. Well, can you actually share it with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Why not?
Sounds good.
It does, doesn't it? Check off the list. Check mark. Done.
You're a goofball. But I really do think that maybe we could say that instead of having like a big Valentine's thing this month, that maybe we just find another day, like another weekend when we're kid free, where we can just like go to dinner and do something fun, just the two of us. We don't have to do it on February 14th, right?
I know. It's so overrated.
Yes.
Do it on Valentine's Day. It kind of reminds me, I remember when, my schedule at work, like, we always work no matter what day Christmas is on. If it falls on the weekend, lucky I'm off. If it falls on a weekday, well, you're working it. So we used to always have our Christmas celebration the closest weekend to whatever, one before or the one after. So I guess Valentine's Day, we can kind of do that too,
Yeah, I mean, we could. That would work just fine for me. It's totally good.
Speaking of that, I think I'm going on vacation. My first vacation of the year is coming up. Is it April or March?
Oh, I don't know. It should be in April. Like, that's around the time that the kids have spring break.
Oh, that's when I picked my first vacation.
Yeah.
Right. I remember last year I took 5-6 weeks of vacation.
Yeah.
And this week I'm only taking 4.
This week? You're only taking 4?
This year. I'm only taking 4 weeks vacation.
Oh, you poor thing. You only get a month off.
I know. I'm spreading them out. But some guys at work, what they'll do is they will just take one day, like take the whole vacation and just split it out for the entire year. Like make a 3-day or 4-day weekend, like every other week or something. Which I don't know if I want to do that because I don't know. I think I'd rather have the whole week off.
Yeah. Well, speaking of work, how have things been going for you in terms of your life and what's been going on this week?
It's been going pretty good. I've been pretty busy at work. Surprisingly, the gas prices are so expensive right now. It's so funny. Speaking of Valentine's Day, I saw that meme. I saw this meme where it says, "Buy your Valentine something very expensive," and it shows a guy holding a gas can to his bride.
Oh goodness, I Yeah, I spent $80 fueling up last night. But when I was in Utah, gas was only like $3.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
You should have mailed some back.
I know, right? I would have been like, I don't have anything in these canisters, officer.
Shake it around.
Yeah.
Don't smoke next to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, work has been pretty busy for the most part. You know, it's this usual thing. You know, they had me work last night. They changed my work around last night. You know, I'd go complicated story, but we were low on premium, so I had to send premium out to different stations and do a bunch of running around and all that stuff. But I did get off work early, which is always a bonus on a Friday.
I know. And what did you come home to?
I came home to you with some cheesecake that you bought at the Cheesecake Factory to give me and you.
I know.
Oh, I loved good cheesecake.
Because I know that we hadn't had time to have our coffee date, our morning coffee date all week long. And so I knew that I would be up late still because I was just getting home from bringing my friend home from the airport. And I was like, well, we can have a cheesecake date since I'm going to have one more day of not having coffee with you. I'm like, we'll have a cheesecake date. And I got you dulce de leche.
Fantastic. Some caramel in there and some whipped cream.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I want another one of those. Man, I actually do like the caramel one they have over there. I think it's like caramel crunch or caramel something. They got a caramel something. I see it on the menu every time I go there.
Yeah, it was supposed to be, this one was supposed to have like a little almond brittle chunk on top of it, but I don't know if it did.
I think I ate it so fast, I didn't even notice it had that. You know, like to put sprinkles on top of something? Do you taste that? It's like, I don't know. I just wolfed it down. So, but how was the wedding, working out for you? The wedding business? How's that going on?
Oh, goodness. It's kicking up into high gear. So today was a very busy day. It's a very full day. So I started off the morning with what's called a details meeting. So I have a bride. She's getting married in 2 months. And so we went and sat and went over like the layout of all of the tables, what the decor is going to be because I'm her florist and her coordinator.
Busy.
And so we spent about 2 hours together going over all the little details. And then I hopped right in my car and I drove up to Carlsbad to meet another couple. And we were doing the walkthrough of their church and their venue because they're getting married next weekend on Saturday. And then, so that's busy. And then on Tuesday of the following week, on 2/22/22, I am coordinating a wedding for a couple that's getting married at 2:22 p.m. on 2/22/22.
Oh my goodness! Who's timing that? You stop.
I have to. They said that they need to be walking down the aisle at 2:22, and I was like, okay, I'm going to make sure that we do that. So we'll be right on top of it. That's like their one thing they want to get. They want to like say that they got married at 2:22.
Maybe they just do their vows at 2/22/22.
Well, no, they're going to just walk down the aisle at 2:22.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess that'll work too.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. You know what's funny is the weather here has been it's like
really hot.
Yeah, we're wearing shorts and we almost want to turn the AC on, but
I know
like
Stingy
mid-80s.
over here has been like, we're not whippersnapper, we're not going to put on the AC. Like, I had to pay a bill. I had to pay a bill for the first time in 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Calm down.
That's
now.
you. That
It's
was
not-
my
it's not
interpretation
me.
of Chris. Yes. Next thing I know, you're going to be sitting on one of those like chairs by the front door, and the Girl Scouts are going to come by, and you're going to be like, "What do you want?
Get off my lawn."
Get off my lawn. Yeah.
Speaking of Girl Scout cookies,
Oh, don't tell me.
somebody randomly left some Girl Scout cookies on the front door.
It wasn't somebody. It was my friend.
I know that.
It was
I didn't know that.
It was my friend Fabi.
Well, now you tell me after I ate them.
She surprise delivered 2 boxes. I didn't find out till the next day that it was her. And by the time I got home from my trip, another day later, I was like, where are my Samoas? And Chris was like, I thought you hated them.
I thought you hate those.
And I was like, no, those are my favorite. My friend delivered Thin Mints and Samoas to me because they're my favorite.
And I said, well, I ate the box.
He ate the whole box, everybody. He like 1 day, 2 days tops. He's like, well, I had like 5 days. I'm like, nope. It was delivered on Sunday. I was home on Tuesday.
I took one for the team.
I know. Yeah, exactly. You took it from the team.
Well, I didn't know who they were. I didn't want an animal getting into those. I didn't know what they were sitting on the outside there.
So you brought them inside, and then you said, well, I didn't want an animal to get to them. And that's the thing is an animal did get to them. An animal named Chris the Cookie Monster.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. The kids didn't like them. They liked the Thin Mints best.
I know. I got a box of Thin Mints and a box of Samoas. And when I came home, there was neither left. Neither of them were left for me.
No, the Thin Mints are still in the freezer. They're still there, I think. I'm pretty sure they are. I know
yes.
Jacob loves those. He gets in those for school. Like he packs his lunch for school.
Does he take a whole row of them?
I think half. He does.
Oh,
He
goodness.
does take the actual Ziploc bag and fill it with cookies from whatever.
No more.
Yeah, well, I mean, those Thin Mints are like crack.
Yeah, they are.
And I had to have them frozen. They have to be frozen.
That's what you like from them. I like to make them into like milkshakes. I think that's so good. Yeah, like Thin Mints with like ice cream, and then get like the mint syrup that you can like pump in there. Not peppermint,
Are
but
you
like
describing something have a Cold Stone?
No, it's kind of like a grasshopper. They used to have it at Denny's when it was Girl Scout cookie season.
Really?
It was like Thin Mints, and then you would have, they called it like grasshopper mint syrup, like sundae syrup that you would spray in or squirt in, and then vanilla ice cream and milk, and you blend it together, and it's like a Thin Mint milkshake. It's so good. It's like Shamrock Shake.
It sounds amazing. I wonder the Girl Scout that gets the contract for the Denny's to like sell their cookies to the Denny's because they're gonna need like boxes of that stuff. I would think.
Well, maybe it was just like Oreos. I thought that it was like cookie
Oreos
crumbles.
are cheap. Oreos are like dirt cheap for Oreo
Well,
compared to Girl Scout cookies are so like if you price out cookies on a price scale, I know the money goes to the Girl
But
Scouts.
they're only $4.
$5 a box.
No, that's only if you get fancy ones. They're $4 a box.
No, I just bought them. They're $5 a box.
Well, where'd you buy them from?
From the Girl Scouts came by.
They were at the grocery store yesterday for $4 a box.
What?
You got ripped.
Well, maybe it's like the transportation delivery charge they put in here, like the delivery fee from walking to my door.
Or maybe they're $4. Maybe they're entrepreneurs. They're really $4, but the girls are pocketing $1 a box. They're like, this is my tip.
That might be it. That might be what they're doing. So.
Yeah. Well, thanks for holding down the fort while I was gone. I came home and the house was reasonably clean. I mean, I'm not talking about the kids' bedrooms because those were horrible.
You kid, I don't know. I think I was the same way as a kid. I think most of us probably were.
Nope, I wasn't.
Where our rooms were just
Maybe
like
I was.
Clothing. I mean,
an explosion.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about laundry and women. They either do all of it or none of it.
What are you talking about? Laundry and women? You were just talking about yourself a second ago and the kids. I don't know how you spun this around on me, you goofball.
Well, I'm just saying.
I came home, I did my laundry immediately, and I may or may not have unpacked. I just realized I didn't unpack.
I have to unpack. If I come back from a trip, I take my bag and I immediately have to put everything away and get everything out and put that luggage back where I got it from. So, because I think I've done one time was I've accidentally left something important in the luggage and then put the luggage away.
And then you lost it.
And then I don't know where it is. And then a year later on the next trip, oh, look, I found that one thing I was looking for. There's my iPad. I was there the whole time.
Well, it was nice for me to get a little bit of a trip away because, things have been super stressful in education lately with the pandemic and distance learning. And so it was really nice to be able to come up for air a little bit. I was working remotely for a couple of days. But yeah, it was really nice to just get a break because I love to travel, right?
You love to travel, I mean, I kind of like to travel, but I'm kind of nervous about traveling, I think, You're
nervous about so many things.
Yeah, it's true. I don't like going very far when I travel,
Yeah, to the end of the driveway is enough for you.
If I can drive there, I'm okay, I think.
Sometimes.
But I think that, and I hate driving, which is weird. How ironic. I hate driving and I'm a driver.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird that way. But as far as flying different countries, what always kind of scared me when I used to go to TJ a lot, which is in Tijuana, Mexico, folks, is that I always be so nervous going down there because I heard all these kind of horror stories about getting thrown in the TJ jail.
Right.
And for things, and the cops down there, they kind of do whatever they want to do.
Well, I think that's kind of stereotyping. I mean, I know that you have all of these feelings and thoughts about what you think actually happens in Mexico, but you are married to a Latina, and I can tell you that you are overreacting, which is the case in many, many scenarios in our life, in the last few minutes.
The last few minutes, indeed.
In the last few minutes. But is there anything else that's fantastic that's been happening in your week, Chris, while I was out of town?
Well, speaking of that, it's funny. I do have another podcast called Podtastic Audio. It's where I basically try to help out new podcasters out and try to get them figured out their audio and their podcast, kind of figure out just the basics of get it launched, get it growing and going.
So are you like a podcast teacher?
I think I kind of am a little bit of a teacher. I do teach a little bit. I guess I do. You consider it a teaching podcast.
So is your podcast like a class? Because it would seem like, I think about this sometimes. Some podcasts are just for entertainment and some are for keeping you aware of like current events. And then others, like you can actually learn something from them. And I think that yours, you could actually like potentially learn something from it.
Yes, I'm only here to help you as a new podcaster out. And just last night, to my surprise, I just found out, guess who is ranked number 1 in courses for podcasting?
What do you mean in courses?
The category for courses, Podtastic Audio, my show, is ranked number 1.
Is that like on Apple or on what service?
GoodPods.
Oh, GoodPods. That's like a pretty decent platform. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, you can play your podcast on there and vote on there. You can share like star reviews on there and things like that for other shows. So
is that like something you had to campaign for, where it was like you know the Oscars, like the nominee for best courses in podcasting goes to Podtastic Audio.
Yeah, no, I didn't get a trophy or anything, but no, I just looked on there because I was going to post from there the episode I just did, and I was looking in there, and it said on the bottom below your name, it says number 1 in top 100 courses, and I'm like, what? So I went to go check.
That's so good.
Yeah, thank you. I went to go check it out, and of course I screenshot it and sent it out everywhere. So
of course, but you didn't send it to me to tell me first. You just told everybody else, and you just want them to be your fans. But
oh, I know.
You know what? I bought you a couple of, well, maybe it was last Christmas, this like podcasting trophy, and now you can like officially hold it and be like, I actually earned an award.
That's true.
That's like the first of many. We need to like see if they would give you a certificate. I should reach out to GoodPods.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. But did you ever think that you'd be like a teacher?
No, I kind of did. I guess years and years ago, I always thought maybe being a teacher, but then it's like all the work involved and the kids. Because, you know, it's like anything. You have your good days and your bad days being a teacher, and it can be stressful at times.
Yes, it can be.
And I can only imagine what that's like. And that's a part of the world I don't want to be involved with, because the podcasting, I can kind of teach, but from a distance. Like, right. I'm not like face to face with anybody.
Yeah, and you don't have to do like classroom management. But that's the thing with your podcasting is, other than those that you interview, nobody's really talking back to you, so you don't have to deal with all of like the naughty kids in a classroom. You just get to like impart your knowledge on the world.
That's right. That's what it should be all about. You know what I'm saying?
I guess so. Well, speaking of imparting their knowledge on the world, this week's guest is an excellent educator, a speaker, and she is going to be with us right after this, teaching us what it takes to survive in the world of education right now. And we'll be back with her right after this.
Hey, thank you so much for being a loyal listener of the Chris and Kristine Show. And as that you are a loyal listener, we have a very fun opportunity for you to get involved with the show.
Ooh, tell me more.
If you like to get exclusive content you can't get anywhere else, and to receive free merchandise shipped to you every single month.
Ooh, I want that.
Then head over to patreon.com/The Chris and Kristine Show. That is patreon.com/The Chris and Kristine Show.
And welcome back, everybody. Today we have another VIP guest. She is a teacher, instructional coach, and author. Welcome to the show, Katie Kinder.
Oh my gosh. Hi. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, the crowd loves you.
I love that.
The audience has been waiting. They've been like chanting, Katie, Katie. Probably what your students do every day when you walk into the classroom, too.
Yeah, it depends on what assignment we got going that day, right?
Well, thanks for being here with us today. And it is a holiday. I'm so excited for you to have the day off.
Yes. Yeah, it's a big deal. I've been I was actually listening to one of your podcasts earlier, the previous one you just did, and you were talking about how you're kind of always in a state of working, and I'm in the same way. So even if I have a day off, it's just more time to do more work to make it all better. And so I've been going through Twitter and looking for teachers to uplift and making lesson plans. And I think, most teachers are probably like that.
So Katie, where in the world are you actually joining us today?
Listen, I'm in Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma.
Go
What's up, Oklahoma? Everybody's like from Oklahoma we've run into lately. What's up with that?
Boomer Sooner. Let's go.
Well, I was singing Oklahoma for you, but
the musical. No, that was good. I liked it.
Thank you. I was just trying to make you feel at home.
I do now.
How long have you lived there in Oklahoma?
I mean, I was born in Joplin, Missouri, and then my family lived in Tulsa, and now I live in Oklahoma City with my family. So
Joplin, that is a throwback. I went to college in Springfield, Missouri, and I would drive through Joplin. One time I went through Joplin because I went the wrong way home from the Kansas City airport.
Right.
And I ended up all the way up through Joplin. I know that town. I've actually been there.
It's a good town. That tornado that ripped through, oh gosh, it's got to be about 10 years ago, was so sad. I mean, it leveled their high school and leveled everything, and it was really sad. Yeah, so I think they've been rebuilding ever since.
Wow, that's so crazy.
You're in like Tornado Alley then, right?
Oh my gosh, yes, it's scary. And every year, like with storm season, which is in the spring, I beg my accountant husband to get a storm shelter because we don't have one. And so then he looks at the price tag and then immediately says no.
Don't you buy those at Costco or somewhere? Don't they have those?
You could just go buy them at Costco. They put them, there's all these different types. Like it's cheaper if you can put one in your guest room and shut the door almost like you're like
panic room?
Yeah. Or you could get one that's installed under in your garage that you go under. And so I want one because, every time we have a tornado, I think, gosh, I want a storm shelter. Most of my friends have them and usually they'll make room for us, but.
So do people still do from Wizard of Oz, the underground little shelters, where you have you go into the ground with the doors that close up?
Yes. Wow. And there's of course the deluxe one that's amazing, and then one that you can barely fit you and your dog in.
Tell me more about the deluxe. It's like a McMansion underground.
Yes, 100%. If you're rolling in that dough, which I'm not, I'm a teacher. Then you can get a beautiful one put in. It has a TV. You could just live down there. And then you can get the one where you can basically stand up while holding your dog. And it's
a phone booth, basically.
That's so crazy. That's something that us here in California, we don't really have to think about. Tsunamis would be something that we would think about before.
There was a tsunami warning yesterday. Was it yesterday?
Are you serious?
No, or was it the other day?
I don't know.
Yeah, it was just a couple days ago. Yeah, they had that big volcano that erupted in the middle of the Pacific.
What?
It was NASA saw it. It was from space. Come on, you saw it.
I was busy working in education and I didn't have time to check the news.
Well,
that's where we're at in education right now.
Right, 100%.
Let me educate you then. Yeah. A big volcano happened, so all of San Diego had all the coastline had this big tsunami warning, and the water was ripping back and forth, the tides were splashing, and you could see at Mission Beach where the tide went way out because I think it was going to come back in a big tsunami.
Whoa!
I don't know if it did though, but it did go all the way out. I know that.
That's scary too. I'm always worried that California's just going to break off and fall into the ocean. Isn't that
that's what
something
people say.
Could happen?
Yeah.
No,
they're
not.
All of a sudden we wake up in the morning and we're like, what was that? Was that an earthquake? Nope, we're floating in the ocean now.
Now we're an island. Yeah.
Yes. But that's okay.
California.
Yeah. Island California. I think I could go for that. But so you've lived in Oklahoma, you lived in Joplin, you've been all around. You're a Midwest girl to the soul.
Yeah, that's where, I don't know if we'll be here forever. I like warm weather and I want to swim and be by water. And so I don't know. But my kids are so, they're plugged in here. They've got their friends. They're 13 and 14. And so I don't think we're going to be uprooting them anytime soon. But every once in a while, my husband will pace around the room and be like, why do we still live here? Although I love Oklahoma, people are so nice. And my family, my friends, they're all here. And they would just, at the drop of a hat, help us.
That's so kind. Now, I have a big question about being from the Midwest because, West Coasters, we have certain types of food that people say we're popular for. And then the East Coast, there's a lot of seafood and all that kind of stuff. What kind of food are you famous for in the Midwest?
I don't know if we're famous for any food.
It's kind of barbecue, right?
Other than having a Chili's on every corner, that's what we're famous for. I don't know. We love Mexican food. I don't know if we're particularly famous for anything other than, Chili's.
Okay.
Sorry.
Speaking
And
of which-
maybe that's me being like woefully like not cool. And
Hey, speaking of Chili's, trying to figure this out. Where did Chili's come? Like, what is their like theme? Like, where
Yeah,
did it
we ate there last night, and so we always have that conversation. Like, there's not really chili on the menu at Chili's.
Yeah, how dare they? You know.
that is true.
And
That
then
is
they have like a chili
conundrum.
pepper on their logo, but they don't really have a lot of spicy food. So
It's
where?
like- Yeah.
Right. I don't know, but Chili's is fire. Let's just talk about that. Chili's, we think you should, sponsor this awesome podcast.
Yes, definitely. And we think you should give free meals to every educator in America.
Every educator, we're going to start that.
Yes.
That's for
Did
sure.
you ever watch The Office? Didn't they used to do like all their meetings at Chili's? I
At
remember.
Chili's, yeah. Love The Office.
That's so funny. Well, we really appreciate you being here with us, and we're excited to learn more about you, Katie. So we know you live in the Midwest, but what do you do for a living?
Well, I'm an educator since 2006. I stepped into the classroom with zero training, none.
Wow.
They let you do that? I didn't-
Well, yes. My mom is a rock star educator in the Tulsa area. She was a principal for a long time, a superintendent. Now she's retired and likes to remind me that she gets to sleep in. But I kind of didn't want to live her life, even though teaching is most definitely what I am meant to do. And so I went into a public relations, journalism, got my degree, and I did that. And it wasn't bad. It was just not, I don't think it was what I was meant to do. And I did some event planning for the Muscular Dystrophy Association, which is a national sponsor, with the DECA. The DECA is national sponsor of MDA. And the days that I spent in the high school, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to call my mommy, and tell her that I missed my calling. And it took me 2 full years before I was like, okay. Went back. She was like, I told you. And so I went back and I got thrown in the classroom and I knew nothing. So I became a sponge. I started finding a teacher of the year, the movers and shakers. I would go on my planning period and I would watch them. I happened to be being mentored by somebody who's I've still work with today. And so I believe in the mission of public education and loving these kids into submission and, creating experience lessons for them. I'm still a sponge. I want to learn all the things. And I think as educators, we have to be that way. We can't ever be like, well, we always did it that way. Like, no, we got to change. Our kids are changing. And I think we've got to keep up with them. So, I believe that life is fun. We should be doing cool things, fun things with our students, as well as being super rigorous and learning and teaching them how to talk and all of that. So I taught 8th grade English for a really long time. And then I just became an instructional coach last year. And I do professional development, all of that. So
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. I want to retain these baby teachers. That's what I call our new teachers, our baby teachers.
So Katie, you said 8th grade. Have you taught multiple grades? Like, have you been dabbled with like I don't know, pre-K or kindergarten range, or have you
No,
gone?
I'm secondary.
Yes,
I love our kindergarten teachers, and I love that they laminate things and they're precious and we need them. But I am, 6th grade and up, is what I've been, doing in my career. They're starting to really become who they're going to be, and you really get a hand in that. And I think that's special, but it's also hard. I mean, oh gosh, it's hard. The hormones, all the things.
Right.
Oh man, yeah, tell me about it.
Now, so you're in the middle school range.
I am.
What do you love most about the middle school age students? Because we have a middle schooler at home who's in 6th grade, and I was a former middle school teacher and principal. So I always love to ask that question. What do you love about middle schoolers?
Oh my gosh, I'm just weird enough to thrive in middle school. Middle schoolers are precarious. They're fun. They're really going through it. It doesn't get harder than it does in middle school, right? Trying to figure out who they are going to be. And I think as a teacher, you get a hand in that. I think by the time they're juniors and seniors, I think they're pre-cooked. They kind of know what they want, and where they're going. But middle schoolers are weird, and I'm weird enough to thrive there.
So in middle school, is that where you guys kind of guide them on the direction for career path? Is that more for like freshman, sophomore year in high school?
No, they've started that around 7th grade. They've
Right.
started to do a lot of that, actually.
Really?
Yeah, we have a program called ICAP that allows them to kind of pick a track. I think if teachers are really doing their job, that they are letting their kids kind of dabble in some of that anyway. Like, I teach 2 writing classes in the morning, and I had my kids just a couple months ago, they made companies. And they made logos, and we had a big job fair, and we had these kids come in, and they were interviewing for jobs, and they were taking it so seriously, and it was their favorite project of the whole semester.
Sounds awesome. I want to do that. This is like fun.
Yeah,
It's
super
really fun.
relevant.
It was really fun. So I think that as long as we're staying relevant with our kids, I think we can never say, well, we've always done it that way, or we're going to, pick this literary work because we've always done it. I think we've got to really be always looking at our practices. That's what good teachers do.
Absolutely. And it really does take passion to be able to continue to feel like you're bringing fresh content into the classroom, especially in the midst of what we've been going through for the last couple of years. But I want to go back to like earlier in your journey as a teacher. Like you talked about mentoring those baby teachers. We all have kiddos that make an impact on us. So if you were to think back to like those first 5 years of teaching, tell us a story of a student that really made an impact on you.
Gosh, I had a kid who gave me a run for my money. I won't say his name. He's
Come on.
probably-
Yeah, little Johnny.
Little Johnny. He came from a lot of trauma, and every day we battled it out, and I would try again the next day, and we'd try again the next day. And I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but like, I think of this, my heart to theirs. Like, you're going to try to break this, but I'm going to, keep putting it back together. And, his brother was he was a gang member. And he really wanted, so I was teaching freshmen at the time, and he really wanted his brother to join up with him. And so he was this amazing football player, but then he had this outside influence. And during that year, his brother got into a horrific fight with another kid, and his brother was pushed down stairs and was immediately paralyzed right in front of my classroom. So the kids saw the whole thing.
What?
And I use that story still to this day, because we've got kids that fight, they want to fight, they film the fight, they think it's exciting, or they peer pressure or whatever. And I tell that story because one of them went to jail and one of them is paralyzed still. So is it worth
right
that?
there.
Right. I mean, is it worth that? Is any kind of violence ever worth that? Because it's not. And so I specifically remember him. He still checks in with me and he's doing okay. And I have kids like that really every year, kids that touch my heart in that way, kids that I always say come from big personalities, because I too was a rule breaker. So as a middle schooler, I was suspended. I got in fights. I climbed out of a window one time and the teacher didn't know. So I feel like I connect with some of those kids and I know exactly what they're going through. And I credit sports for kind of saving me. Soccer. My soccer coach finally came to me and was like, "What are you doing? Like, you're good." And I'm like, oh, I should get my life together. And that was about my sophomore year in high school. So that time, I get it.
Yeah, that's a really valuable lesson for others. Chris and we've talked about some of my background, and I was seriously injured by students that, like, my second week as an assistant principal, trying to break up a fight. And, you end up with 2 girls with multiple felony counts. And I don't know about in Oklahoma, but in California, when you're public school employee, you're considered a state employee. And so when there's charges, it's assault against a state employee, and it's a whole different category of a felony offense. And, those girls' lives were changed forever, all because one girl looked at the other girl and she thought it was disrespectful. And then I ended up with, all of these life-altering injuries at the time. And so
life-altering injuries.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Were you like Did you have to have surgery? Like, what happened?
They fractured my orbital wall around my right eye, and then I ended up with 2 herniated discs in my back and a tear in the cartilage around my hip. So yeah, I mean, it was a traumatic brain injury because they hit me in the head pretty hard, and so I was.
Oh my gosh!
So it goes back to that story of like, is it really worth it? And for our kiddos, it's just there's so much violence in the world, and like video games and all of that kind of stuff. It makes me wonder, are you seeing an increase in aggression in the classroom as kids are more engaged with these things like, like first person shooter types of games and stuff like that?
Oh, 100%. I don't know if it's as much video games, but all screens. They've been raised for the past 2 years on a screen. All of them. And so then they go to school and they don't know how to interact with each other. We are seeing an increase in fights. And I think it really is going to start with the teachers reteaching them how to be members of society.
Right. Yeah. I was kind of wondering about that. Yeah.
Right. Like our teacher, and I think that our kids should be learning those life skills. Should they be able to do math too? Okay. But if you're giving them a worksheet every day or a worksheet on a tablet and sitting at your desk, well, you're not doing them any favors. And I just think we need to teach them how to speak and how to respectfully disagree. And I do a lot of that in my class, and I teach other teachers how to do that as well. And, a lot of times teachers don't know if especially we've got all these emergency certifications. Mm-hmm. They don't know. They just start teaching the way that they were taught, which is straight rows and here's a worksheet.
Right.
And that's not what's best for kids.
So what do you think is best for kids then? If you had a perfect plain canvas to start over, what would you do?
Well, first, let's fund public education and write policy. Let's write policy to get our teachers what they need and training. And I'd like to get into some colleges, like as soon as they pick that track as a freshman in college, like I want to teach these teachers what they're going to be up against, and how it's the most noble job in the world, like 100%. But we need to be ready for the things that are going to happen. So that's number one. We need funding. We need to pay teachers what they deserve.
So you're not like the richest job in town.
And I'd like to.
I thought as a kid, I thought you guys were millionaires.
Wouldn't it be nice? I've said this before. Wouldn't it be nice if we gave our really good teachers, like our rock star teachers, like $1 million signing bonus? Like, oh, Kristine, you're going to get $1 million for going to this district. What?
It's like the NFL draft for teachers.
Yeah.
Oh, why not? There you go. Yeah.
Like in the first round draft pick out of California State University, XYZ is Kristine. Her bachelor's degree is she specializes in differentiated instruction. Come on down.
And then you put the hat on, you walk up on stage of the school you're gonna be teaching at.
Yep.
Yes.
And they're like, peace, deuces. They're like, to all my fans out there, all of you 10, 11, and 12-year-olds, I see you.
I want to say thank you to my parents in my classroom. I see you. Yeah, 100%. I love it. And, I don't know the perfect fix, but I do know we have to right now work with what we've got. And so I believe experience lessons are really important. You are, like it or not, you are competing with video games. You are competing with, social media and screens and, middle school romances and all of that.
And middle school drama.
And middle school drama. And so I think, staging your room in a way, like hooking them in some sort of way, having relevant content, doing a poetry lounge, a poetry slam on poetry that they've written and that they perform. And things that matter, things that they will go home and be like, this is what I did today. And I don't even like to call my class a writing class. I call it Miss Kindermania. Because, writing will kind of trigger the kids. Like, I can't do it. But I'm like, okay, come on into Miss Kindermania. This is what we're doing today. And I love it when kids are like, oh my gosh, it's time to go already. I'm like, yes, queen. You didn't,
Queen?
yes, queen. You did not try to look at your phone. You did not try to get out and go to the bathroom 85 times. You did not, all of that. And so that's what I want for our students and for our teachers.
Is phones a big issue in your classroom?
Oh my gosh, it's the biggest issue. I want to ban them. So my district is 1-to-1 iPads. Every kid has an iPad for school purposes, and
Really?
they should.
How lucky
They
is
should.
that, man?
Right. And they take them home, and just in case we go to virtual, which we did last week because of the Omicrons. And, yeah, so they don't need their phones. I think it needs to be powered down in their backpack, in their locker. They don't need it. And I know it can be done because I've worked with a principal before who banned them. And he even got like a fake wand. It wasn't even real, but the kids thought it was real. And he would run around with his fake cell phone wand. And the kids, we never saw the cell phones. We never saw them because they were like terrified.
What did the wand do?
Nothing. The wand didn't do anything, but the kids thought that like if the phone was on them, that the wand was going to like start beeping or something. It was totally fake.
Oh, they thought it was like a metal detector wand?
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking like Harry Potter.
I would have done it like this wand will erase your phone completely. If you're by your phone.
It'll break your phone if it's on you. Yeah, so I've seen that. So yeah. And the kids, 11, 12, 13-year-old, 14-year-old kids, they don't have the frontal cortex to deal with the cell phones. They don't have, they're going to put something out there that they don't mean. They're going to take a picture of themselves that they got pressured into.
Right.
Does that happen quite a bit?
Oh, 100%. I've seen, yes.
Are we talking like more adult content type pictures or what?
Yes.
Kids in 6th grade?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I tell that to parents.
Wow, I didn't know.
Chris is
like,
freaking out because he has a 6th grade boy.
Okay, and they're like, well, not my baby. And I'm like, yes, your baby too. Like, it should be your paying job. You should act like it's your paying job to look through that phone. And because they've got ghost accounts and they've got apps where they're hiding things.
Grade?
Oh yeah.
Ghost account? Well,
Ghost account.
What's a ghost account? Is that like you have like your fake profile or fake something?
Well, it's like, yeah, you've got your Instagram page that your grandma looks at, and then you've got another one that's for your friends. They all have one. They all have
Jacob has
two.
an email, does he?
Yeah, he has a school email, but
Check Jacob's phone like today.
yeah, it's so funny because I will say, let me have your phone. And he's like, why? I'm like, because I'm a parent in this house. And my 17-year-old, he knows. I say, let me see your phone. And I know what he's on, and he's pretty open about it. And because of my past relationship with his father, he knows, like, you don't get on certain apps. We just don't do that kind of stuff. And so constantly he knows that I know how to check it. But yeah, I was that principal that did not allow cell phones on my campus at all. And I got a lot of flack for that when it was a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade campus. And I said, if there's an emergency, a parent can call the front office and we can get your child. We don't need you texting them to interrupt them or asking them things like that. And
What do you want for dinner?
Right. We left a phone available at the front through the little window at break time. Kids could call home if they needed to tell their parents something. But there's no need for cell phones on a campus. There really isn't. For work, I was at another school site doing a visit. And I walked into like 5 different classrooms, and the teacher was at their desk doing computer work, and this is the middle of class, and 2/3, if not 3/4 of the class were sitting there on TikTok.
Yep.
And losing instructional time, and it just can become such a distraction because that's what, instead of talking to each other, kids just get into this tunnel of like living vicariously through other people's lives and disconnecting from everything around them.
It's really sad. It's really sad. And I think that's kind of what we're dealing with too. You've got teachers who are going to enforce the rules, and you've got teachers who've given up, which I hate. It hurts my heart. So then the kid doesn't understand that like one teacher is going to have this rule and the other teacher is not going to follow the rule. And so they themselves get all worked up about, well, I'm allowed to. But no, you're not. And I joke with them. I'm like, oh gosh, I want to keep my job. Both my kids want to eat every night. So that's weird. So let's go ahead and put the phone up. And they're usually like, okay, like, haha, Miss Kendall, you're funny. But yeah, I think I think we should ban them. And, France banned them.
I didn't
They're
know that.
banned.
Did?
And their test scores went up. Their productivity went up. Like, ban the phones. They don't need them.
No, I want to switch gears for just a second, Katie. I have a question for you because you're a teacher and an instructional coach. And I think that every adult that's listening right now, if they were to think back to their educational experience, they have that one teacher that like ruined it for them. They can remember that one that made their life miserable, or that they say, oh, that teacher never liked me, or I would have been able to do X, Y, and Z if it wasn't for that one teacher. And from being in education, I know that there's a variety of personalities in teaching. So
Sure.
I would love for you to kind of talk us through what you think makes a teacher make that turn to becoming negative or grumpy, and what we can do as parents to help support them not get there.
Sure. Well, I think the leadership needs to pour into their innovators. Those are the teachers. If you continually have these innovators on your staff and you're pouring into them, they're on your leadership team. They're the bar. I think that's helpful. I think, parents to let their principals know that this teacher is making an impact on my student's life. Not just the negative things, but the positive ones as well. I think it's systemic. I think, no teacher comes in and is like, I'm going to sit at my desk and go to sleep or whatever.
I had that teacher.
Right? I know we all did. How was I able to crawl out of a window in 8th grade without the teacher knowing?
Right.
And so I think that we all start with that passion, like we're going to change the world, we're going to do this, we're going to do what's best for kids. And then you start to get like bogged down with all of the systemic brokenness. And I'm big about only dying on 3 hills. And my big hills that I will die on are safety of kids in my classroom and relevant and engaging lesson plans and kindness. Because if I want my students to be kind to each other, then dang, you should be kind to the adults. If the adults are ugly to each other in a building, then
Right.
how can we expect even if I don't necessarily see eye to eye, that doesn't mean I'm not confrontational. I can be, especially when it comes to my babies because I love them so much.
Oh, you're adorable, by the way.
Oh, thanks. But I just think we need to do it in a kind manner. So I think like, okay, well, the State Department wants you to do this report. And then there's a parent that's pissed off at you because you had the audacity to make them put their phone away. And then you have your coworker across the hall is mad at you because you played music too loud. And then this happened. And it makes you get so bogged down that you're like, I quit. And you don't really quit. You don't walk away and go make more money at Starbucks. You sit at your desk and you do nothing. And that is upsetting to me.
And then your tenure, right?
Yeah, right. I don't know if I believe in tenure. I think there needs to be like a clause. Like, okay, you did well the first couple of years, and so you're tenured. But if you really have given up, like you need to go back on temporary status until you can prove that you are. Because if you're not intrinsically motivated for the kids, you need to be motivated by something to do what's right.
So, okay, for those who don't know, when it becomes a tenure, what does it mean for a teacher? Does it mean they're like untouchable or what?
Not necessarily untouchable, but harder to get rid of for sure.
Oh, like a union kind? Oh, it's union, right?
Yeah, union. Yeah, it's union. And I love our union. Our union's great. They really do a lot for teachers, and they work in tandem with administration and they help teachers, and I love our union. I just wish there was a clause in there for teachers who've just kind of given up.
Definitely. Now, when you talk about teachers giving up, we know that teachers have been through so much over the last 2 years. And Chris and I have a conversation frequently about being an educator and the quote unquote time off that you get. And there's this perception that teachers get a 3-month vacation. I keep explaining, no, they just
How
take,
lucky is that?
and I keep saying no.
All the school holidays
they
too?
take a chunk of the money you've earned all along, and then they trickle it over the summer months so that you actually have a paycheck. But from a teacher and instructional coach's perspective, for our listeners to understand, can you talk about when a teacher actually gets to take their hat off and take a break or not? What's it like after hours for teachers?
I think, I mean, if it's a school year, if you're in the 10 months in the school year, your hat is never off. You go to bed with it on your shoulders. You worry about them. You worry about the kid who's just wrote about how he's sleeping in his car with his dad because they got kicked out of their apartment. Like, you take that home. You take grading home. You sit around the dinner table with your family and cry. And it's, you don't take it off ever. I think during the summer, I think a lot of teachers are doing professional development. They're rewriting curriculum at the district. Do they take a vacation? Yes, if they can afford to. Do they sleep in a little bit? Probably, because it's trauma filled. And then they gear up for the next year. And I think right now it's a foxhole. Who is in your foxhole and how are you doing? So many of our teachers aren't doing okay. And I think it's really, really hard. And I think society, like, we just are the scapegoats for everything. And I hate that because teachers just get beat up on. And they look at that too. And that's the reason that 50% of our new teachers leave the profession in the first 5 years.
That's crazy.
50%. And that's crazy to me too.
What do you think is an overall reason why that happens? Is it, I mean, if you pick one thing.
I mean, I think it's just burnout. Like, they want to change the world, and then they've got a parent that lights them up because they had their kid. And I stand by the fact that if you're doing it right, you're going to piss some parents off, because things that are allowed at home are not necessarily ever going to be allowed in your ELA classroom. So when you call a kid out on, I'm so sorry, that's not how we behave in here, and he goes home and tells mommy, and mommy is, raring to go and ready to help her baby, which you understand that too. And then if you don't have your armor on, I mean, all of that, it's really hard, but it is worth it, and we need them, which is why I'm trying to get this message out to our baby teachers that it's worth it and you can be successful inside this broken system.
Now, thinking about that, as you said, you went into the profession and you were very unprepared.
Oh, yeah.
We know that a lot of teachers that go into the job don't realize the emotional, I don't want to say implications, but the emotional involvement that goes into teaching between them and their students. Can you talk a little bit about how teachers can preserve their own mental and emotional health while dealing with a class full of kids in trauma?
I mean, right? I think we need more trauma-informed specialists. We need boots on the ground. We need more counselors, psychiatrists, psychologists. We need all of that. But for now, since the funding isn't there, I think you have to, I believe in therapy. Right now, my district is offering free therapy, free group therapy for teachers, which I think is awesome. I think taking care of yourself, reminding yourself of why you do what you do, yes, it's personal. I believe in meditation. I believe in all of that. And I don't know. I don't have the answers to that question, really.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, it's just when we think about it from the outside looking in, and we think of our teachers are responsible for, depending on their district, 24 to 40 young people. And if you're in secondary, that's, 6 or 7 times a day, you have a different group.
150 kids.
Right.
Yeah.
And every child is coming in with their own baggage, and you're with them sometimes more hours of the day than their parents, not because parents don't care, but because they're trying to keep food on the table, and you hear things that they might not be comfortable sharing with parents. And when you think about that, when our 3 kiddos come home and they've had a rough day, we're able to process and talk through it with 3 of them. But one individual having to hold space for 150 kids going through all of their own mess, that can get heavy if you don't know how to process it.
Right. And I agree with you. And I think that teachers have to rely on each other. I often say that we are kind of raising babies together. It's not like my husband who goes to his cubicle and crunches numbers all day. Yes, his coworkers are, friendly or whatever, but these are these are your people. You're in a foxhole and you need to rely on each other. So let's say I'm not connecting with a kid the way that I think I should, then I'm going to find the teacher that he has connected with. I'm going to find that we're going to do this together. We're going to be in this together. I think when you're in a school that has that mission mindset, that's how you thrive. And so I think it's hard, but I think it can be done.
How does your school approach or handle bullying?
Bullying?
Yeah.
You know, I think the kids also have a hard time with this because just because you're in conflict doesn't mean you're being bullied. So I think like the kids are quick to say, well, I'm being bullied, when really they're just having a little disagreement about their friends' clothes or whatever. I don't know. So they don't know how to like handle that in a way that's healthy. So I think that's kind of part of it too. But real bullying, I feel like we're pretty good at making sure that that doesn't happen. We have this app that you can anonymously say, this is what I've seen, or this is what I'm, the big thing is that we can't control the things that are said online.
Right.
On Snapchat, on this and that. So the kids that really, truly are being bullied, they can't ever get away from it unless their parents take that phone from them. Like, I think by 8 p.m., or, dinner is screen free. And then by 8 p.m., that phone needs to be in the parents' room charging. They need some time to like process life without that phone in their hand.
Chris just was mind blown. Phone in our rooms. That's a great idea.
Of course.
Wow. I know. Rather than all night. Jacob's on his phone all night long watching who knows what.
Right.
I don't think it's TikTok, but it's like, I think there's something
YouTube
on
or something.
there's
YouTube. My son is into that too.
There's a YouTube version of TikTok. Have you seen it?
No.
It's like YouTube. Everybody's going towards this like TikTok style where it's like 15, 20-second kind of clips.
Right.
Even YouTube has jumped on this bandwagon where they have like, I think they're called YouTube Shorts. I think
I do know about YouTube Shorts. Okay.
Yes, I think they're like the same concept as Instagram Reels and TikTok videos. Kind of the same concept of this quick short thing you flip up and it go. I haven't messed with it, but he's into that, which is kind of like the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's kind of copying TikTok.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And like our kids, more than 15 seconds, they're like, oh, this is boring. I'll choose something else. Right.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, my son's into that too. He watches other people play games on YouTube. I'm like,
that's what our boys do.
Like video games?
Like streamers. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is the dumbest thing.
And growing up, if you ever grew up, like I grew up in the day of like Atari, I'm old, and like Nintendo and all that stuff.
Yeah, Nintendo.
And if you were sitting at home playing the games, all your friends were over your house, you're playing the latest Pac-Man version. Yeah, I'm really old. And then you're like, I want to play. My turn. And like, it would be driving you nuts watching your friend play. It would be like, no, I want to play now. So there's this concept of like, you watch other kids play and that's your thing. So, but I think
weird.
I know, but I think deep down inside, everybody wants to play the game.
But what's interesting is if you think about what we're observing with students coming back from the pandemic and how you were talking about them having a hard time connecting with each other, it's because they've been passively engaging in other people's lives through videos. It's like, I'm going to watch you live your life from over here. And I feel like we're connected, but we've never actually met. But I think we're kind of like friends. And so then you think like, oh, that kid across the room, like I see what they're doing, whatever. Oh, we're friends. And then as a parent, you're like, oh, well, how often do you hang out? Oh, we don't. We just, we chat on Snapchat and we, share TikTok videos with each other. Okay, so like, do you guys like go hang out and have lunch together? Do you sit together? Oh, no.
Never do that.
Yeah.
Well, and I think they're deeply lonely. I really do. Not all of them, but I think a lot of them are deeply isolated and lonely. And so if we do have in-person school, I think you've got to make the best of it. You've got to teach them how to do this and how we're a family and how we're in this together. And that, teaching them to talk is a big deal in my room.
Right.
Oh, really? That okay, so who's got the answer to this question kind of thing? Raise your hand, kids.
Well, no, actually, I put them in a Socratic seminar and I'm like, okay, nobody raises their hand, but I'm going to give out a question. It's usually like a hot topic, debatable thing. And then you have to learn, if you're in a business meeting, you're in a boardroom, you don't raise your hand to talk. You have to figure out how and when to insert yourself. And so then we go from there and it is mind blowing. It's so good.
Now, when you're doing that, do you get kids that don't know how to kind of read the social cues and just try to talk over each other?
Oh, yeah. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to pose a question. You guys are all going to fight about, who's going to talk. And we're not going to do that. That's not allowed. So if two people start talking at the same time, you say, Kristine, I insist that you go. And the first person who's been insisted goes first. The insister goes second. And so they really get good at it. Like, I respectfully disagree. And this is why. And I told him, I'm like, if you get too upset and you tell everybody to shut up and you take a desk and throw it, what's going to happen in your job? They're like, we're going to get fired. I'm like, exactly. And so they have to say, Chris, I respectfully disagree with you, and this is why.
Come on. No.
And I insist that you go first, and it really teaches them how to speak professionally and appropriately with each other.
That's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah. Teaching them those skills of what transfers into the workplace is really important. Chris and I were having a talk with one of our kiddos yesterday about attendance, school attendance, and because we co-parent across 2 households, talking with them about how we don't just randomly, quote unquote, take days off of school to do fun stuff with parents, because that's not what we would do in a job. Right. And it was an interesting conversation because this child, we're not going to name which one he was. He may have a birthday coming up. Not tomorrow, but the next day. We have 2 boys with back-to-back birthdays. They're just several years apart.
Happy birthday. So fun.
But we were having a conversation about how when you have a job, you can't just call in for a fun day. Like, I'm going to take off. For his birthday. Yeah, I'm going to take off for, because I want to go have fun, especially when you've been behind in schoolwork and things like that. Sure. And then it was the whole conversation of, to Chris, he was asking, well, so Dad, what about you? And Chris was like, well, I take my birthday off, but it's a scheduled vacation. And then he came back with, well, I don't get to schedule my vacations. They're dictated for me, so I can choose a day. And I was like, oh, you're way too big for your britches, 11-year-old.
11-year-old's like, I respectfully disagree, and let me tell you why.
That reasoning, that logic doesn't follow.
Well, it kind of makes sense to think about, like as adults. I mean, I know that, like, I know maybe not so much in the education world, but like as a regular job, we get to plan out our vacations for the year, like we're taking this week, that week, or whatever. Right. And as a student, you're kind of like, you do get a lot of vacation. You get, all the summer off, all the Christmas break, and all, you get a lot off.
That's true.
But you don't get to pick it. It's picked for you. So I guess I got to understand that.
I know, but so if we were in that Socratic seminar, he could have said, I respectfully disagree with you, and here's my perspective. And I would have been like, okay, I get your logic. You're still not taking the school day off, but wow, that was smart.
I'm still the boss. You get an A, but you're not. You're still going to school. I love that. Sounds like he's got good parents.
Well, he is going to miss school because the other parent decided, but that's another story.
That's another podcast, isn't it?
Yeah. Well.
Now, tell us a bit about this book that you've written recently.
Oh my goodness. Untold Teaching Truths. So I kind of have had chapters for years. And when the first wave of deep isolation and staying home in March of 2020, I really sat down and I wrote most of it.
Wow.
And, some people cleaned and ran marathons and worked out, and I wrote. And so I was starting to speak before the world shut down, and I would have people that would come and kind of stand in line and talk to me and say, we'd love to buy your book if you had one. And I'm like, I don't have one, but now I do. And it's really everything that I wish I would have known before I stepped into the classroom. Everything that happened to me, I failed, so you don't have to. It's part strategy, part memoir, part how in the world do we be successful inside of the system. So I want to get it into the hands of every baby teacher in the world.
So that's what it's for new teachers then?
Yeah, and I also think it's for vet teachers, those teachers that had given up, or I want them to take it too. I want them to get that spark back because I know that it was there.
Right. So can you give us an example of something that might be in your book that you think would be helpful? You don't have to read, but just kind of like an anecdote that you shared within the book.
Sure. I mean, I went to a trauma-informed professional development years ago, and it was this huge thing. They talked about the brain. We know the trauma is there. We know about all of the things, but they didn't give me any practical, like, you should do this first and this second and this. And so I have a great story in there about a kid Marcus, who, it's not his real name, he's a lost boy, and I just got a really good connection with him. And then also I gave practical strategies on classroom management. I would do this first, this second, this third, and it's all in there. Stories, poems, all of it.
So it's kind of like toolkit meets story meets training.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And it's, my experience lessons are in there. How to do a Socratic seminar is in there. We just talked about, it's all in there. And so I'm just trying to get teachers to not give up and not quit. And so Untold Teaching Truths emerged.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Where can everyone find that book?
Well, you can get it on Amazon. You can get it anywhere that they sell the books. And if you want to come see me in person, I've got some professional development coming up. I could send you guys those dates, and you guys could put them up there maybe. And I would love to give you a book.
Oh, we would love that. And so when you talk about professional developments, what could somebody expect from a session like that? And then are they only in Oklahoma?
No, I'm going to Texas.
Woohoo.
Well, I just had one. I was going to go to Arkansas, and they just canceled it because of the Omicron, because of the COVID.
Stupid Omicron.
Omicron.
Plans.
I know. And so, yes, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Hot Springs, Arkansas, Texas. I'm hoping it picks up and I can start going all over the nation.
That would be amazing.
Wow, look at you.
Yes.
Nation traveler worldwide.
Well, not yet. I'm going into debt right now, but maybe one day.
But, that's really needed right now, because when, I'm in California and an educator, and our governor just came out with this new guidance to try and address the teacher shortage. And some of his rules were, so a substitute teacher only has to have a bachelor's degree. They don't have to have our state basic skills test taken. For classroom teachers, they can be on emergency credentials, and student teachers can now take over full classrooms to try and fill the gap. And when I think about all of that, while it's filling an immediate need, we're kind of shortchanging on the preparation for a lot of our teachers. And I think that some of them need some of these, I call them like the down and dirty tips, because it's not like you go to a 7-day training to master one concept. It's like the survival mode toolkit for beginning teachers so that you don't burn out.
Yes.
And I think that that's super timely right now. I think you should promote that. It's like instead of the Untold Teaching Truths, you could say emergency teacher survival kit and Untold Teaching Truths.
There you go.
I agree with you. And even the ones that have taken the track, they come out of college. I have a teacher I'm mentoring right now, and she said it was like really heavy on pedagogy, like,
right.
But it wasn't like, what do you do when a kid throws a desk at your head? Like what?
Right.
And that's kind of what
that
this is.
Chapter 13.
Chapter 13. So like, what do you do? And so that's kind of what it is. And I want to get it, since it's come out, and I started my Instagram page at Untold Teaching Truths. I'm, on Twitter at KatieKinder1. I have had people slide into my DMs, educators, and please do. And I am mentoring somebody in New York. I'm mentoring somebody in Chicago, in Colorado right now. Like, I will give you anything I've got to make sure that you are successful.
That's
fantastic.
Yeah, that's so amazing, because so many of the beginning teacher supports are overwhelmed across the states. And like you said, sometimes they're just to meet state requirements and regulations. And, just going back to my own teaching experience, I started as an intern teacher. So I hadn't finished my last semester of teaching, the student teaching. I just went into the classroom, and I had never developed a lesson plan. I walked in thinking that my school district was going to hand me a set of lessons that I then just basically perform.
Right.
Yeah. And you're like, okay, I can be an actor on a stage. I can take anything and adapt it and make it interesting. And then I was like, but there's nothing to adapt. I have to create it.
Right.
And I think that there's people that are listening that are thinking, oh, well, teachers just go in and they're given the curriculum and they just teach it.
That's what I thought.
No, you get the books and then you have to create the curriculum. Like you have to create all of the lesson plans and meet all of the needs of the kids in the classroom and adjust it and create all of the assessments and then teach it all day.
Yeah, 100%. That's why, I mean, I think there's that statistic that says that teachers make more minute-to-minute decisions than ER doctors. That's why you're so exhausted when you go home. And so, yeah, I always say, I don't want teachers to pay teachers. Like, I want to give it away for free. So if there's something in this book that you want, I will just send it to you.
That's amazing. Now, would this book be good for non-teachers also?
I think it would be a really good glimpse into what your teachers, before you fire off that email to that teacher.
Yeah.
Maybe you should read it. But I also believe, parents and teachers and principals, we get this like mindset of like us versus them versus us, like we can't. So I think understanding, the first thing I want to do if a parent is mad at me is come watch me teach. Come in, come sit down. Do some teachers need to be told to, maybe step up their game? 150 million%. But before you fire off that mean email, they're still tired too, even if they're sitting at their desk, because barking at kids all day long or creating awesome lessons all day long, you're still going to go home tired. So I think reading it for non-teachers could sit down with it and be like, okay, because if you have anybody you love that's in public education, you should read it.
That is definitely some great wisdom that you're dropping there. All right, Katie. So as we're wrapping this out, we have mostly non-teachers that listen to this podcast. What would you like all of them to know from you, an educator?
I think you should reach out to the teachers in your life. You all have one. The people who are on the ground doing the work, and tell them that you appreciate it. Tell them that you don't think they're the reason that COVID exists. You don't love on your teachers. Tell your kids that they need to be working hard and respectful. Look at those cell phones, my friends. You should be looking at that cell phone like it is your paying job. Yes, you are a kid too. And just that we're in this together and we need to hold up our public education friends.
That's awesome.
Well, we really appreciate you being on the show with us today, Katie. And so, friends, check her book out, Untold: Teaching Truths, on Amazon. Reach out to her through Instagram or Twitter. We'll definitely put all that information in the show notes from today. And biggest takeaway from today is keep encouraging the educators in your life to keep at it, because it is good work.
Thank you.
Hey there, K2 crew. We love having you as our loyal listeners.
To keep up to date with what's happening behind the scenes, check us out on social media.
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter.
And don't forget to follow our Facebook page.
Yeah, tag us in your favorite fun stories, and guess what? You might just end up on the show.
You know, I really loved having Katie on the podcast. I think it was really nice to have a fellow educator on the show.
It was great, and I was kind of wondering like all the behind the scenes stuff that people don't really realize when they are a teacher into the minefields of the classroom, I guess.
Right, especially teaching in the middle of the pandemic and everything that goes along with that. And how do you keep teachers in their jobs, like wanting to come back, and how do you motivate educators, and how do you make sure that they're given an opportunity to grow? There's just so much that goes into it. And I think that's why no matter how much I have like great business in the wedding industry or with my consulting, I don't know if I'll ever leave education, because I'm just like committed to helping to make sure that people have access to continue to grow.
Absolutely. And having access in the tools we need to help everybody and educate everybody does make the world a better place in the long run.
Yeah,
really.
It does. And what's interesting is I really do believe that education has the power to help really address so many of the ills that are happening in society right now, like poverty. How do you get people to be able to climb out of poverty? Empower them through education so they have more opportunities. How do you help rid the world of hate and racism and all of that through education by, helping people understand different perspectives and communicate effectively. And so I don't know, if anything that I've learned over the last couple of years, it's that our teachers, our educators that are out there on the front lines are absolute rock stars, and we owe them like $1 million each.
They don't get paid that?
No, they have, that they absolutely don't. There's always a joke about how people joke that teachers, they don't make very much money, or like we were saying during the interview, like, oh, well, you get your summers off, but no, teachers really don't get paid a lot when you look at the amount of work that they do. And that's not to complain. It's just the reality of what it is.
Yeah, I think too, it's like one of those careers that you go into knowing that like you want to do it because you just want to do it.
I know, but people shouldn't have to go into a job saying, I know I'm going to take a low salary just because I'm committed to doing this work. Like, don't you think they should be fairly compensated?
Well, that's true. But then, there's a lot of people that will specifically go into a line of work, not because it's there to help people, because the paycheck's big.
Right, that's true.
Like, oh, I'm
like in business and stuff like that.
I want to be a doctor, an eye surgeon. Oh, great. You like helping people with their vision? No, I want a big paycheck. What a title.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that, but there's very few people that I know that go into teaching for that reason because of the nature of how hard the work is. And so all that to say, teachers, huge respect to you. Educators, thank you for everything that you've done for our children through the pandemic, and to you, Chris, now that you have officially joined the ranks as an educator based off of your #1 podcast in courses on GoodPods.
I know.
Thank you for educating the world about how to make a better podcast.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're all welcome. That's what I always say,
So if you'd like to learn more about us, about Chris and his fantastic work on Podtastic Audio, where can they find us, Chris?
You can go on the old interweb, click at chrisandchristineshow.com. And everything you want to know is right on there. And on the third page of the Chris and Kristine Show, it's all about Podtastic Audio, and a link to all my wonderful stuff over there, too.
Yes.
If you want to find that out.
Go over, support him. If you want support, one-on-one coaching or anything like that.
Wait, I don't have time for that. Come on
Just reach out to him. And he loves to be able to chat with up-and-coming podcasters.
That is true, yes.
And we would appreciate you, hopping on over for this show and leaving us a review, an honest review. We always love those 5 stars, but honesty is most important to us. And we hope that you've enjoyed this episode and learned something new. And we will be back with you next week.